us. The first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from our August 6th meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? I have one from Mr. Martins. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Changes, concerns? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are. Thank you. Number 2, discussion and possible action on revised guidelines for the City of Wausau Commercial Rehabilitation Program. Mr. Schock.
Sure. I'll invite Tammy Stratz to the front to discuss it.
Good evening.
Good evening. We reviewed our commercial rehab program guidelines just recently, I guess, to open it up. I think the last committee meeting, I brought up an application in, and in reviewing our policies, when we first developed the program, our goal was to have the commercial rehab program for the downtown area. I think we've almost exhausted every building in the downtown area, and we wanted to open it up to more possibilities for anywhere in the city of Wausau for commercial rehab. So in your packet, we highlighted the changes of the guidelines. So we wanted to just take the word downtown out. We want to open it up to the city of Wausau limits, and to try to streamline it a little bit more, asking that we can take either the projects to Economic Development Committee or Finance, whichever one meets sooner, so we can move these projects along faster. And then depending on if the project has historic designation or anything that might be historic or not, we would reach out to the Landmarks Commission, and they could let us know if it's something that they are interested in seeing what the proposed plans are going to be, or if it doesn't have historic significance, they just say, don't worry about us, we're okay, and then that would streamline it. So those are really the changes of the guideline, so we just wanted to bring them to your approval.
So they're very
Discussion?
minimal, and do I have any concerns from the committee? A motion to approve would be in order,
Move to approve.
and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Opposed? None are. Thank you. Why did we lose one of our people? Or is he down there? Okay. Well, it happens, it happens. We'll forge ahead. Number 3, discussion and possible action on the issuance of an RFP for the North Riverfront area, the Great Lakes Cheese and Wausau Chemical areas.
Yep. So based on feedback from the last meeting, as you recall, we updated the RFP, to reflect some of the wording and other changes had requested. We also revised the timeline, to be out until December 2nd, and then, likely have some review in December.
Ms. Rasmussen, did you have a chance to read the verbiage about environmental concerns?
I did, and so, when we talked about it, I thought that one of the things we should be sure to add was, a statement right up front that, the site may have some challenges, but I was also hopeful that we would emphasize in the RFP that they're not challenges that we've not seen before, nor are they challenges that we don't have solutions for. And so, I see that the verbiage that was inserted says, part of the Wausau Chemical property is a documented brownfield site which may require additional remediation depending on the use and site plan proposed for the project. More information is available, and then the contact info is there. But we didn't really articulate the fact that, as with multiple other riverfront construction projects, we have run into these same things, and we have been able to overcome those challenges by collaborating with the developer. Now, whether or not that matters, you want to be honest about the environmental issues, because the site may have challenges. I'm good on that, but I also think that we've had some very positive outcomes in our past projects that the people need to know about.
Just what language, again, we said the city welcomes collaborative dialogue. If you want specific language, let's just put it in right now. What do you?
If we
I mean,
could-
this has been out, you
Yeah,
can
we could-
comment on it
We could
and
maybe
let
say
us know.
something, just start the sentence with, as with, certain other successful, developments in Wausau, this, site is also, a
Right, or,
brownfield.
could have environmental challenges.
Yeah.
I get the fact that you're open to discussion, but, I think that we need to present it in, somewhat of a positive way, because, yes, the site is challenged, but we've had prior success with,
Right.
working with those
I-
project owners.
We feel it's positive enough, but if you want to say, how about we say, as with other successful redevelopments along the Wausau riverfront, the city welcomes collaborative dialogue with developers.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
I think just so that people are aware that there are solutions, and that with some co-cooperation, that hill can be overcome,
Does there have to be a motion on a suggestion like
No,
that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think he'd probably just agree by consensus to direct
All right.
Chris to make the change.
Okay.
And then are there any other changes? Because if not, then we can approve
It seemed
the
to
whole
address
thing.
what our concerns were, and I'm happy to have it released. Anybody else?
I'm quite pleased with what I read. I thought it was great.
Nice to have you back, too. Okay, no other discussion? All approval of releasing the RFP, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And there are none. Thank you. Number 4, discussion and possible action on the sale of business campus property on Innovation Way and the associated incentives to Composite Envisions for the construction of a new manufacturing facility.
Great. So I think you guys know this proposal. Obviously, we've seen it over the last couple months. We do welcome Corey this evening if you had any additional questions for him. This has been an ongoing discussion. Actually, both of these projects on tonight's agenda really are a great, success story for the city. Both of the projects were early recipients of city support and have grown their businesses significantly. They're both fall within the very strategic manufacturing, advanced manufacturing type sectors, which is great for the, for the community. They're both adding jobs and expanding their footprints, with new facilities in the business campus. So we especially welcome Corey, and if there are any, we had discussed this last time, but since our last meeting, we've refined the proposal a bit more. We've discussed, basically, if you look on the map, he's looking at an approximate 11 and a half acre parcel, but we've also talked about kind of the adjacent area, which is mainly kind of impacted. It's not really developable, but it would be, it's meaningful to Corey for his, for some parking and some other purposes. So, we recommend that. It's up against the wetlands, and there'll be an access road that goes back to that pond, which is a regional stormwater pond, so we'll have an easement for that there. But, it seems like that's a reasonable use of the property. The city surveyor obviously will work on refining the exact dimensions of the parcel, but that's kind of where it is. So we've refined the term sheet into a fairly discrete, set of findings. The construction value of the building, additional jobs created, the parcel to be surveyed, obviously, at that general location, which is, like we had noted before, just to the east of Great Lakes Cheese. And then we've included an incentive, to assist the relocation and expansion of the facility.
Okay, thank you. Does the committee feel that considerations from our last meeting have been addressed? And do I hear a motion in open session?
It doesn't look like we've had any substantial changes from our last discussion, really. I mean, are we planning to
We can always
use
go.
closed session dialogue on this item, or?
We can always go into closed or.
Can if you wish, yeah.
Did
It doesn't look like the terms had changed from before, and I think that we were pretty good with it before. I'm glad to see that we pin down a finite end to the increment contribution.
For
You know,
sure.
to cap that at 2 years, but based on the fact that they're expanding and obviously to outgrow your facility and grow quickly enough that's happening is a great problem to have. And, you know, to build a building of a higher value than what's there today, I think is a great move, so. if
And
we
it will be
don't-
only 50% of the increment too, so
Correct.
we expect, you know, it's a very fair, you know, incentive for the city.
Right, that was one of the things that we were interested in last time, so I was glad to see that. Absent any need for closed session dialogue to, you know, further consider it, I would make a motion to approve the agreement as stated on the term sheet.
Thank you. Do I have a second? I have a second from Mr. Gisselman. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are. Thank you. And thank you, Corey. All right, number 5 on the agenda, discussion and possible action on the sale of business campus property on Enterprise Drive and associated incentives to Applied Fab and Machining for the construction of a new manufacturing facility.
So this is a new project, one that has come together because of some ownership changes and some property needs by the business. So they're moving relatively quickly now to build a new facility to accommodate their business. Currently, they're tenants, but need to relocate. And they've chosen to build a new facility. They'd like to do it, obviously, in the business campus. They've highlighted a parcel that we've examined a variety of parcels in the business campus that could work for them. They like this location on the Enterprise Drive loop. If you look on the map, the aerial photo is a little old because you'll remember too, we've built 2 buildings already in that loop, including the new Bay Towel facility at the northwest corner and the canteen facility in the center. So Enterprise Drive is, with this project now essentially complete, or, you know, would be full because we will have sold all the parcels inside the loop, and they're all, you know, for kind of smaller scale manufacturers that, you know, have been working in the business campus for a while. In the packet, there's a write-up on the project, and we do have the business owners here, you know, this evening with us, Tim and Andrea, to answer any of your questions and open. If you guys want to come up and maybe just talk a little bit about your business and love for Wausau.
So I want to thank everybody for giving me this time tonight. Just a little bit about Andrea and I. We're transplants. We didn't grow up here. Harley Davidson brought us here, but we quickly fell in love with this community and the educational systems that it's provided for our son Jack, who's now gone on to the University of Vermont. I believe in paying taxes where I work and live. I've had other opportunities to look at other local municipalities, but my heart is set on Wausau. I started the business with just myself. I cashed in my 401k, went all in on the business. I was my very first employee and 1 machine, and have grown it now to about 13 employees. We're running 7 days a week, and this situation, as a former military officer, caught me off guard with the sale of JARP, and has provided a incentive for me to move on. I've got 9 months to find a location to make sure I can keep my 13 employees employed, but continue to grow the business. And I wholeheartedly, my wife's behind me, believe in Wausau, want to grow in Wausau, but it's kind of a predicament that I've put myself in. And so I'm just asking for your help, because it's not easy to move a $2-3 million company in a matter of 7 to 8 months. So I've got the builder, United Structures, behind me, John Marash, if there's any questions. But we're truly under the gun, and we're growing the business while we're moving. But I threw it all in on myself 9 years ago. I'll make this happen myself too, but I truly need your help. And Chris has been more than accommodating, and the mayor. They met with us a couple weeks ago to get this going. So for any questions, feel free to ask.
I would welcome the mayor to come up and to talk about his involvement and view on it.
Good evening. Do I got to address where I live and everything? Robert Melky, 407 Grant Street, because I do think I do live here, but that's another story. No, in all seriousness, I appreciate what he has come forward. And it turns out we're both ex-military, so there was that little connection there. But what I really appreciated in him and his wife making their presentation was the love that they had for Wausau. And it is in an area that we've come alive here in the last couple of years. And it's a good thing for our community. But again, that family-orientated, on a personal level, kind of like with our employees, you want to take care of people. You want to worry about them and their future. The presentation that he made was incredible. It was heartfelt, and I think it's something that needs to be supported. And I encourage, I don't want to say we're open for business, but any economic development growth, we've had something growing for now, the start of a third year, we're off to another dynamite start, and it's because of individuals like him and his wife. And I strongly encourage and hope that you folks do support this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Schock, are we fundamentally in line with established precedent in practice?
Yeah, I think so. If you want to look at the screen just real quick, these were the, drawings provided by the builder and Tim and Andrea, just to give you an idea of, the kind of building. Obviously, it's a manufacturing facility with an office. It's similar to many of the other buildings in the business campus, not necessarily an architectural wonder, but it does have, it has a stone block foundation and the metal building. And so you can see the term sheet there. This facility is, just a bit smaller, less expensive than the Composite Envisions project. Adding additional jobs over the next 2 years, and obviously the parcel in mind, and so then the incentive is a little bit less in total than the Composite Envisions project, but they're very similar in their scope of participation, and is certainly appropriate with other projects that we've done.
Ms. Rasmussen?
Thank you. Well, if there's anything that we know we want to grow, it's our manufacturing sector. And, if we can add facilities and add value with that and, employ workforce and help you expand your workforce in Wausau, I mean, that's something that we want to see happening. That's what the business campus was designed to do. And the first thing I noticed when I was looking over this term sheet is it is very, very similar, albeit smaller, to the deal that we just approved for Composite. And, when a facility can come into our business park and work to expand and, in their case, even outgrow their facility and be ready for a second one, that's the exact kind of success we want to see. And so, it certainly makes sense that we would consider this deal. I mean, obviously, he's grown the business already. He's got some proven track records. So, absent a need for closed session, I would make a motion that we approve this agreement.
Very good. I welcome your motion. Do we have a second? I have a second from Mr. Martins. Thank you. Further discussion on this item? I see a finger.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to have any bearing on our decision, but could you just, for curiosity's sake, talk a little bit about the sense of urgency and the thing with JARP? I don't know what's going on there.
So I was approached about 2.5, 3 weeks ago and said my lease was terminated. I didn't plan on this building at this time. I had already put capital expenditures in my current business. This is all contingent upon me finding finance, but I have to move out of my current location by March 30th, 2020. And I've not really shared this with my workforce because I don't want to present a problem without a solution. So I've worked with local commercial real estate agents. And I'll be honest with you, there's not a lot of commercial property available in the Wausau area. There is in other locations, but like I stated, sir, my heart and where I pay my taxes and where my wife is employed is here in Wausau. So for me, this is a big change of direction that I didn't foresee coming, but that's life. And how you attack, it's how you make your success. So I'm not trying to be a victim up here, but I got to get going on this pretty quickly.
Well, need to cope.
Okay, very good. Anything else from the committee? Seeing none, all in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are.
Thank you, sir.
Best of luck to you, too.
Yeah, thank you.
Going to go back to square one here. All right. Having no need for a closed session, we'll skip to number 8, updates on current projects, Mr. Schock.
Sure. So this afternoon, we hosted the first of many open houses. This was the Parkway 52 design plan open house this afternoon, and I know that you're all waiting with bated breath for the next series of meetings that'll be happening, and we'll kick really into gear next week on the 10th and the 11th with a series of meetings on South Riverfront and Towers area plans and on the zoning code as well. The mayor is excited to share all of the work that's been percolating for the past year and longer even, if you look at the zoning code, which has been a 15-month process. But there's been good progress along the way, and we're excited to share that, in the following open houses and cow events. So, Westside Battery, we have been in continued dialogue with Clint on his status. He's working. He's still getting. Still working to finalize those quotes to come back for a commercial rehab official vote. We want to be sure that all the quotes are, kind of buttoned up and finished before we actually vote on that. And again, it's just needs to be, finalized before, obviously, as we head into fall, as the road project finishes up, he would be able to start, obviously, if he wanted to do some of the work before the end of the year. On River Life Villages, we are aware of, many efforts going. They've been doing some limited work at the site. They were hopeful to obviously start more in earnest, but they are still working on their plan amendments. Those are expected to be finalized in the first week of October. Then there'll be a lot of work kicking into gear, hopefully before the freeze. They are ongoing with wall construction off-site, so there is a lot of work ongoing, just not stuff that folks can see. And they'll be installing their new marketing signs and stuff like that this week supposedly as well, so.
A question on that. Now, that design plan amendments that they're waiting on, that's pending review by a state agency, correct? That's not anything they're waiting for on our end?
Oh, yeah, no, it's definitely not our
And it's certainly
end.
not a developer-initiated delay, it's that they're waiting on a state agency that's carrying a backlog, is that correct?
Correct, and there's just, their team also has to make those changes, and then the state agency has to review them, and
And
there's
reapprove them and
that's
whatever?
like a
Say they were
iterative
adding windows
process.
and whatnot, and?
Yeah.
Okay,
The
all right.
architectural plans, the structural engineer is involved, the architect's involved, there's lots of changes, and getting those changes done as soon as possible so that they can really, they're doing site grading and stuff, but the real goal is to pour, as they say, pour the floor, if you will, which is, which will be a major goal, so that they can get the wall components out, and, their goal is to try to be under roof before the weather really turns, but we'll see how that all plays out, so. Yeah, we have, weekly meetings on this topic, so if any council members or if anyone has any questions on it, we're obviously staying abreast of every step of the process to make sure it can move as fast as possible. I know they want to move as fast as possible, but, you know, there's always a process, so,
Right.
yeah. On 120 Scott, you know, the merged development team, which you remember has a planning option with us, will be in town on the 10th and will be attending many of the Towers area plan meetings and also meeting with stakeholders. So if you're interested in meeting with them, let me know. We'd be glad to coordinate either an independent meeting for any, you know, any individuals, or, you know, we can, of course, notice a potential quorum for any of the, you know, kind of stakeholder meetings if anyone's really interested in attending those. But they'll be here as well that day and at the open house. So that's ongoing process. On livable communities, you know, we had our first meeting with the potential stakeholder group, and we've now set a second meeting. This will be arguably the first of the new steering committee, if you will, for that effort. And that committee will be hosted by the mayor and the ADRC staff in October. The Ponderosa Motel redevelopment, just to keep you up to breast on that, the CDA board met last week and reviewed again kind of the terms of that. And they will meet again in September, and we expect that they would likely authorize the acquisition of the property. On the mall, there's a lot of moving parts. As folks know, you know, the mall is for sale. There have already been the initial bidding proposals have been received by the commercial broker. There is one local effort that has made a proposal and a series of out-of-town efforts. This is an ongoing kind of dialogue, you know, as to what the next step would be. We expect the mall broker to, you know, go back and request another set of proposals or resubmit the proposals to kind of firm up, you know, if there's any movement in a final and best kind of way. And we do expect that there might be, you know, something needed from the city before the close of a potential offering. So we've included under number 9 some, you know, kind of timeline that we might have some additional information by next week to share with the with a joint meeting. We want to be sure that when we provide an update, we do it with as many of the members of council as possible to, you know, to be aware of the moving parts of the mall sale. But it is moving very quickly, and to date, there's not too much to share, but shy of what I just shared, but I know we do expect some additional things to happen in the coming days even. So it's certainly an exciting time, at least to see some amount of movement and progress towards potential sale, which is, as you know, an important part of the, you know, was number 1 bullet point under the kind of shared consensus statement adopted by the stakeholders during the plan process that the mayor had convened everyone for. So, you know, it's very, it's good to see that. That is, I think, the first linchpin of many that need to come together for something to meaningfully happen with the mall.
And I guess I just have a quick comment on that. Given the fluidity of that situation, are we expecting that on the 10th with a joint meeting, that we could already see at least the shell of what would be a public ask for a partnership? I mean, we know that we have been waiting for years to partner with someone to redevelop Wausau Center. I mean, years ago, we stood ready to assist Yonkers and Pennies. That didn't pan out. In retrospect, probably lucky it didn't. But we also then stood ready to partner with that movie theater, and that didn't work. So, you know, it's no secret that we have been looking for someone to partner with that would generate some, you know, vitality there in that area, and that's just not been happening. So are you expecting that we'll be looking at, you know, perhaps at least the framework of an ask for the 10th?
Yes, potentially, and I
Okay.
think that's what, you know, we want everyone to be aware of that something could be coming.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay,
Great.
thanks.
Then on the Wausau campaign, you've probably seen recently, Elizabeth Knight has been working with a variety of partners to develop a series of videos. Some of those videos are already out. There's a few more coming, so I think they're a positive piece that highlights a variety of different business owners and stakeholders. We're continuing to crank out the My Wausau stories on a regular interval. They've been kind of going at least one a month, highlighting a variety of different folks, some business owners, some, most recent one, or second last recent one was a county employee, then a banker locally. So you'll see a variety of those continue to come out. And the videos, we're refining kind of the final pieces of the next set of videos, so then those will be coming out soon as well. And then in the coming weeks, we'll be starting our partnership with Wausau West, and that's always an exciting part of the campaign because they always bring a lot of energy and new facets and new material to the campaign. So that'll be starting in the next couple weeks as well. So we can be sure to bring that here. I want to show you all the videos, and I won't do it tonight because we're getting them all ready. But at the next meeting, I think we could watch the videos if you haven't seen them yet already on Facebook. Yeah, and they're also on the city's YouTube channel. We put all the materials generated on our YouTube channel, which is administered by Access Media.
Okay, thank you. So, number 9, our discussion of a potential joint meeting with Finance Committee on September 10th. Proposed time for that, Mr. Schock?
Yeah, I guess we were just, when would finance start usually?
Finance normally begins at 5:15, so if that's amenable to everyone, we could use that time. We could perhaps, put the joint ED item, at the beginning and
Right up
knock that
front,
out.
yeah.
The finance agenda that evening is pretty full. We also have the scheduled debt sale that day, and we'll have a lengthy presentation from Ellers going on. So in anticipation of potentially a joint session, I've had some dialogue with the mayor about perhaps adjusting the start time of council for that one meeting back to 7 o'clock, because I think we're going to need all the time we can get,
And we
especially if we have to talk through something with them all.
And we might have some, excuse me, members of the local community here to,
Right.
cheerlead the whole thing,
Right.
so,
Sounds like county board doesn't meet that night, so there shouldn't be a reason we can't, but I think we may need all of that time,
okay.
so.
Is that workable for all committee members? I'm getting nods, okay, good.
Oh,
Okay,
lucky you.
all right, with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I have one from Mr. Martins, do I have a second? From Mr. Peckham. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned, thank you.